Radical Intimacy with Dominey Drew. We are back this Wednesday. It's good to be back. I have been traveling and going all over the place, and I'm thrilled to be home broadcasting with you guys here. I am joined again by the esteemed Josh Maduri. Thank you so much for being here, love.
Ooh, I like the esteemed title.
Yeah, you like it when I esteem you.
Oh, that sounds so sexual all of a sudden. Amazing. I can't believe how we just went there instantly.
Really, you can't?
Show about intimacy and going straight to sex? That's so weird.
So we like to talk about, fucking, and then also about more mature spiritual therapeutic topics, because let's face it, those two areas of life are my favorite.
And they go hand in hand.
They do go hand. Let's talk about where your hands are going, but let's not talk about where yours have been. Okay, moving right on from there. You're all welcome for that. So we are broadcasting live at demonseedradionetwork.com. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so for today, we thought we would delve into space and relationships. So what do we mean by that? Space and relationships. There is a concept which I know a lot of people have, especially guys. I know guys, you often feel like you're kind of being drowned by your girlfriends. That either she wants to be together all the time or she wants more commitment than you do. And there's like a lot of sort of pressure around all that shit. And, for a sustainable relationship to work, and I mean a good one. I don't just mean everybody should be in a relationship and monogamy is the best way or any of that bullshit. I mean a relationship that makes you happy. So whatever that means, whether or not you want to see your girlfriend 3 times a week or 7 days a week is totally irrelevant. It just matters that you find the girl who's on the same page as you. And same thing for you ladies out there. Not everybody wants to be in a committed relationship and see each other every single frickin' day of the week. And some people do.
Well said.
Thank you. That's a really important thing that I think a lot of people miss about relationships. I have a lot of people who talk to me about their relationships, and they're bitching and they're bitching and they're bitching. Other way. Sorry, I'm a little bit loud in my own ears here. There we go. And they're complaining about their relationships and I'm sitting here talking to them, and I'm sitting here thinking, and I will often say this out loud because that's what you get if you're friends with me. I'm like, you realize that relationships are voluntary, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're just single and you want to be in a relationship, like that's great. You don't have to be in a relationship. It's just like a voluntary thing. And the point I'm making with that is if it's not fun, why the fuck are you in it right now? Like legit. I mean, look, if you're married or you've got children or you've got like responsibilities in this world, then you need to stand by your shit because that's the consequences of your actions, and there you are. And so make it work, and we're going to help you do that on this show, and feel free to call in and ask any questions you have. But like if you're single or you're in a relationship that you're just not thrilled with and you've got nothing linking you to this person, then like you need to up your standards for the people that you spend time around. If you're finding yourself bitching about your relationship more than you're what would you say? Whatever, singing from the mountaintops about it. That you're like expressing how excited you are to be in it. Take another look.
Yeah, I think we were going to talk about this later, but I think it's appropriate to just briefly mention that you're not always going to like each other. So
yes,
there's not a. I completely agree with what you're saying, and I think it speaks to your original point of if you're in a committed relationship, don't just quit for no reason, because that's another whole.
Because you've made a vow, that means something.
Yeah,
yeah.
Honor your commitments, but at the same token, don't sit in misery.
Yeah.
For long periods of time. There is going to be definitely some uncomfortable, awkward. Just there's work to relationships.
Awkward elbowy sex.
yeah, and yeah, metaphorically and maybe literally. You know? So there's not. It's not always going to be perfect. So, but at the same token, don't. I think what you're saying is don't. If the net total of what you get from the relationship is less than what you give, then it's appropriate to get curious and figure out either how to make it better or get the fuck out.
Or get the hell out. Yeah, exactly. If it's not fun, don't do it. Okay? Again, if you have no,
Overall.
Yeah, overall.
And whatever time period you're talking about, With children, I will give you that perspective that, for the first 2 years of a child's life, it's going to take a little bit of just, pull your pants up and tighten your belt and just, we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I think you are not necessarily doing it wrong to have to not have as much. You're not getting as much from the relationship during that period because you're both giving so much of yourselves to this new life that just will die without, constant interaction.
Yeah. You know what? That's actually great. Give us some insight about this because Josh here is married. He's not married to me. In case anybody's may not have clarified that early on. We're just really good friends. He does have kids. And he's, I can confirm he's had to put a huge amount of work and commitment into his life. And every time, if I may say, has dug down deeply and recommitted himself to not only to just doing it, like putting your head down and getting through it, but to like growing from it and evolving through it, and has done a job that I think seen rarely equaled in my experience.
Oh, that was a very sweet compliment. I appreciate that.
That's very true.
Yeah. So I think that there's balance is the ideal would be where I would say to kind of start the conversation about that. Obviously, giving, and we're going to talk about this in depth, but giving more of yourself than you're getting, or not necessarily getting, but more of yourself than you can handle, maybe would be a better way, or that's not sustainable for you, is not a good thing. I'm not at all talking about something that is basically codependent. Maybe this is a good segue to what kind of.
Yeah, we'll get there for sure.
But just you do have a lot of work when there are small children involved, and it's just I think it would be better for us to kind of, and I say us, people that have young children, to acknowledge
the club.
To acknowledge that it's not gonna be like, adventures. It's not gonna be spontaneous. There's a big shift, and you're just gonna have to learn to live with that for a short period of time. I'm not talking about like 6-8 years. I'm talking about 0 to a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
There's just an incredible amount of just taking care of another being, because I mentioned it to a friend. The best way I can kind of say is imagine, if you will, you had someone like hurt so badly that without attention they'd basically die within like half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of
think about that. Think of the level of responsibility that is.
Yeah.
To really hold something's life in your hands.
Yeah.
And that's really what you're doing.
Yeah. And I mean, that can also overwhelm. So new parents that haven't had any sleep for a week, I would say just like, don't hold that in your, that could get a little scary. But it is something. I hope I'm doing a good job of not making it seem like so morose. But I think if you expect to have this fairy tale life where, you put the baby to bed and then you go have coffee for, 4 hours and just talk, and, it's not.
Wait, is that not how it works?
No,
oh,
it's not at
all
all.
right, forget it, I'm out.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
And I think that there's it's good to know that about yourself, Dominey. No,
I'm nothing if not self-aware.
So I think it's good to know. And the only thing I would say from the perspective, and then I'll leave it at this, is just to what we're going to get into is being careful to be mindful. It's creating space to be mindful, and we'll hopefully let's segue, because I feel like I'm getting into kind of the meat of.
Not all. I think that's really great, and I think our readers, our listeners may not know this about me, but I'm not super child and family minded personally. It's not a goal of mine anymore. And I'm very happy with that. And that's a really important perspective. Most of the people on the planet breed at some point in their lives. And spawning.
You were like, breed.
Spawn their demon seed.
Yes, well named.
Holler. We love you, Demon Seed Radio. We love you. And, I know a lot of guys, I work specifically with single men who are kind of over the dating scene and are looking for, a partner. They want something real. They don't want to, meet strangers in bars. They want somebody they can fucking take to weddings. And, all their friends are getting married and having kids on Facebook and, posting. I don't think you have children on Facebook. I don't know really the ins and outs of Facebook.
With Facebook Live, yes, you almost could have a child on Facebook.
That is maybe not what should happen. But as you say that, I'm betting people probably have done it.
It's been done.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
I guarantee you.
Oh, people.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to know that much about your life. You need to know that.
Yeah.
We are not that interested in your life.
Or your vagina.
Or your vagina. Well, depending on who you are, I might be interested in your vagina, but Josh isn't. He's married.
Well, there's just, there's a... I don't even know how to approach this topic. There is so much thing as too much information.
What?
Yeah, there really is.
You want to talk about my vagina? Is that what you said? That's what I heard you say. Josh, no, not live on the air. We're going to get kicked off. Oh, wait, not this radio station.
Nope,
Never mind.
Nope.
We're gonna get promoted.
Yes. Satan Spooge Network, I think.
Satan Spooge Network.
It's going to be like, yeah.
One of the things, I go in little, I have little phrases that I use for periods of time. And for a while, anytime I liked something a lot, I'd be like, sploosh.
Yes.
Like from Archer.
Oh, it's a good show.
It's a really good show. And I really enjoyed sort of making that a thing. I was trying to see if I could figure out how to make it a demon seed sploosh.
Yeah.
It's like if a demon splooshes in the woods and no one hears it,
would you still slip and fall on it?
Would you still slip and fall on it?
I just went sideways with that. I love it.
I love it.
What the fuck? I was out in the woods.
What the what? So once again, we are live on DemonSeedRadioNetwork.com doing demon splooshing and then returning to deep spiritual therapeutic topics.
Yes. Om.
Does everybody out there know why people say Ohm in yoga classes?
I do know the history of it a little bit, but why in yoga classes?
In yoga classes, so because it's a Hindu thing.
Right.
And the story of it is this: the whole sound. It's not just like an Om. People sort of make fun of it, like Om, and they close their eyes and put their fingers together. And it's actually it's actually like a combination of all of the vowels. It's actually Aum. And literally what it is like if you think of the entire planet as being vibrations in one form or another, and physical objects as just being slower vibrations, right? So that you can actually feel them. You're looking super shady at me. What?
No, I love how you're definitely getting it serious. Back to this.
Oh yeah. But then we'll back to demon splooshing in just a second. But meanwhile, we're here. So if everything is a vibration, and a vibration is consequently a sound, right? Or could be imagined to be a sound. Of course, if it's not in the auditory spectrum, then you may not hear it. But the belief in that world is that that Aum sound is the sound, the fundamental vibration of the universe. It's the sound the universe makes.
Yeah, and I've heard it described probably ineptly, but it does kind of stumble to the point of that it's the sound that God made when he breathed the universe into existence.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, is how I heard it put to me. And I think that the God part is where I don't feel like it's very articulate, because that carries so much baggage for so many people.
And also it didn't come from a Western faith in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So far before that.
It's
Hindu.
It's very.
It's also, but it's it's mantra, and also in Buddhism, that's a big part of Buddhism as well.
I think it's a very good way of saying it if you come from an Eastern background.
Mm-hmm.
If you come from a Western background, then there's a whole lot of that you might have to unpack to get to the meaning, and that's why I said it's inarticulate. But I do like the idea of it's the expression of everything.
Yes. And when you sacred sort of spiritual incantation, and when you make the sound, the intention is to resonate with that. So you're basically connecting to
the Godhead.
Yeah, basically. Except that sounds dirty.
No, connect with the Godhead.
Your Godhead.
That's exactly. I mean,
Can you give me Godhead?
Is it like gobsmacked but Godhead? That
I don't
sounds really
know.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah, you can totally do you really? Yeah.
We may be somewhat off topic here, but
I know. I'm just thinking about. I mean, like you can sort of fellatiate a clitoris a little bit. Like you can kind of. I'm trying to give head to a woman. Is where my mind went.
We could certainly try.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be.
I'm available for people trying.
We really need to do some empirical, get some data.
All right, guys, we're going to be right back in 4 hours. We're just going to do some research because we don't want to say anything on the air that's not 100% true.
Right.
So we're just going to go check this out and we'll be back.
Technical.
Just put that shit on repeat.
Oh, that wouldn't be annoying at all.
I know, right? Oh my God, get me out of here.
If our or our listenership went up, that would be bad.
That would be that would be sad. That would be sad for us. And would perhaps, yeah.
Anyways, moving right along.
But our listeners love us because we haven't heard otherwise. So
yeah, if you feel differently, please call.
If you feel differently, fuck off. We don't want to hear from you. But if you love us, give us a call. It's great. And if you actually do want to call in, we do want this to be a call-in show. We like taking people's calls. We like, hearing if you have questions and shit like that. You can always tweet to me at Dominey Drew. That's Domineydrew at Dominey Drew. And, or you can call us, and our number is 708-793-7769. 708-793-7769.
It's the 69 part. Just like it feels a little shady, I have to say. Like it's just like you can Twitter Dominey and you can also get a hot breathy phone call at.
And who would say no to that?
I know, honestly, yeah.
So I would like to, I'd like to share something with our listeners, which I haven't actually told a whole lot of people. But there was a period of time where I was considering, and I was trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do with my business, which again now has landed with with single men and is actually about to expand outward toward intimacy with couples. But right now is just sort of focused on single men. But before I focused on that particular demographic, I was thinking, what if I just did full-on therapy coaching, right? Like you come in for an hour and you leave, that type of thing. And it would be exactly like therapy, except I'd just be dressed head to toe in latex.
That's interesting.
Because my thought is, and we talk about all things kinky and perverse here, as well as all things deep and spiritual.
All things depe.
I love this more and more. I love this more and more. Every time I do this, I love it more.
All
but
things
how
deep,
much more? How much more would you like? How much more excited would you be to go to therapy if your therapist were sitting there in a latex catsuit and corset and thigh-high boots?
I mean, the males and the bi-curious females, I'm sure. Yes.
That's pretty much all I work with anyway.
Well, I mean, you could definitely get probably a lot more buy-in from the husbands. Let me put it to you that way. Be like, hey, babe, you want to go to therapy again?
God, didn't you just go this morning?
I don't know where to go with that.
I think that's a really good business idea, though. I'm not going to lie. If anybody steals it, I swear to God. Of course, I probably shouldn't have made it live for that.
Yeah.
If I didn't want people to steal it. But anyway, don't steal it. Don't be a douche. All right, so space and relationships. So I think this is something that is missed so frickin' often. So we started out with, off with, you don't actually need to be in a relationship. Do you guys know that? Do you know there's nothing wrong with staying single? Like, I know some people feel pressure about it, especially women, I think, feel pressure about it, especially in, your 30s or your 40s or your 50s.
It's part of the discussion I'm hearing with males too. 30 mid-30s and on.
That's what my clientele is, usually 30s, 40s, and 50s.
I think it's definitely something I've heard at the brewer. I mean, Asheville's very brewery focused, so at the bar, so to speak, I've heard that discussion. That males are starting to be like, "Well, I'm 50 and I haven't had."
So that's exactly the people who are my demographic. My clients come to me and I never tell anybody that they need to be in a relationship because flat out, you don't. That's not true.
Well, just give them a quick, rundown with you said you work with single males, but what's your program too?
Yeah, so I have an 8-week course that I've designed that really takes you from point A to point B. It works with people who, as I said, we're over the dating scene. They don't want to just, have a quick lay or some good sex. They want the whole package. They want passion. They want companionship. They want someone they can really spend their lives with. A lot of them are affluent. They travel. They're successful. They have businesses. Their life is good, but they don't want to be by themselves anymore. And a lot of them, they're really afraid of ending up alone forever. That's really their pain point. They're in their, again, 30s, 40s, and 50s. They're not in their 20s anymore. They're, afraid that they're not as desirable as they once were. They are afraid that there are not any good ones left. I hear that a lot. All the good females are taken. I'm in my 40s. Anyone left is whatever. Everyone says something different. People say this all the time, but everyone says something different. So they'll say, everyone's married already, or everybody left is crazy, or doesn't want to commit, or doesn't want children, or doesn't want a family, or isn't serious, or things like that. And that's a really real pain, and they sit in bed at night lying awake and feeling fear that they're going to be there forever. They're going to be that way forever, alone. So while, for my personal beliefs, I have no attachment. I don't tell people they need to be in relationships. What I do is a process of self-discovery and mindset management that helps them see how they're holding themselves back from what they want. So I don't tell people what to do with their lives. I don't give you, even advice, really. It's not about that. There's something about what you're doing that's keeping you from what you want, which for these people is, a lasting, passionate, fulfilling relationship. And so rather than, tell you what you should be doing, because chances are you're not doing anything wrong, you're carrying unconscious beliefs that are blocking your shit up. It's blocking you from the things that you very clearly want. So it's very important, for me, I want to make it clear, to this audience that while I have no agenda for people to be in partnerships, but if that is what you want, and you're not able to make it happen, then you're working against yourself, and that's what, Josh and I talk about in this show. We really want to bring to your awareness the things that people do unconsciously. Because your mind has a couple of different elements to it. There's a conscious mind. There's your thoughts. And we talked about negative self-talk and where that sort of voice in your head is telling you you're crap all day and stuff like that. And this isn't really, it's not really that. This is deeper than that. If it were just your thoughts, you're smart people. You'd be able to change. You'd be able to make yourself think something different. The problem comes, with my clients. Is that there's something going on unconsciously, and the unconscious mind is vastly more powerful in your life than the conscious mind. The conscious mind is thoughts and academic learning and, setting goals and thinking positively and shit like that. And that makes, I don't know, what would you say, maybe 10% difference. But what's really going to act is these sort of underlying beliefs, because they're motivated by fear. There are very real fears that are keeping you single that you don't even realize you have. And in my work, I bring those to your awareness. And then if you want to drop them, you can, because while they're unconscious, they're out of your control. But once they get in your control, then, you now have the chance, right? You have the choice to engage in them or not. So it's in a way, I'm kind of taking people off of autopilot, as I like to say.
Yeah, and obviously I would kind of suggest that if you keep getting the same results over and over in your relationships, that's what Dominey is basic.
Relationship patterns, yes.
Yeah.
You always are in it for a few months and then you get bored. Or you can attract attractive women, but not women that you really, really want, and you always find yourself settling. Or women always end up being unfaithful, or women always end up being crazy. People sort of things, they attribute it to something else in their life. I had an interesting experience this past week. I was at a dance club, and I started talking with this guy, and he's this British kid, and he's a DJ in London. And we started talking about what I do, and I said, just what I just said. And he goes, oh yeah, my pattern is they're always crazy. And I go, oh, okay, well that could be, X, Y, and Z. And I sort of indicated that it was a pattern that he was actually creating. And he looked like I just slapped him in the face. And he goes, I always just assumed it was because I was a DJ. And the women I was around are, just sort of seemed like maybe they'd be a little more crazy or they'd be a little more wild or whatever. And so it's so easy to attribute these things to our lives. And maybe there's some relation to the fact that he's a DJ, but that's part of what will draw him to being a DJ. You see what I mean? So there's all these different things sort of pulling things together.
Well, in that situation, and this is not, I'm not directly commenting on that person, but in that situation, it could be that just as simple as, the only people that he dates is in the club, and why, most not normal people, most people would, when you get some elevation on them, like, hey, maybe that's not the best place to search for a mate. So even though it is something to do with his situation, he might be making slightly unconscious decisions that are getting him the same result.
Exactly. Exactly. And those unconscious decisions are what attracts him to the crazies. Right.
Yeah.
And so be aware of, and here's the real bitch of the whole thing. As long as he thinks it's the fact that he's a DJ that's doing it, he is disempowered.
He's a victim.
He's a victim,
which
means he cannot fix it.
Right.
Because it's now the DJ scene's fault. Well, that's bullshit. Here's why that's bullshit. Because there are so many fucking people in the DJ scene. And yeah, maybe there are some certain types. But I'd be kind of interested in DJing. That could be a place you could find me. I'm not the crazy girlfriend type. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of stuff you can sort of point to trends. And you could be like, oh, well, this is this way. And these sorts of people are the people I'm around all the time and shit like that. And you're just like, you could tell yourself that if you want. And a lot of people do. And that's fine. But that will not, and I will guarantee you this, it will not solve your problem.
Well, you can make it musical taste based. Let's say, I'm attracting all these crazy people, but you could even say it's something kind of ridiculous is like, well, I'm just not finding people that like classical music. Like, where are you dating? Like, at the club scene? Like, yes. Perhaps.
Well,
that is not the pool of people that you're interested in.
Yeah, so we're talking about two different things, and I want to make sure that they're both clear. There is an element of real world application, but that's not where you start.
Right. No,
that's really important.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't need to conflate the issue, but I do. What I'm getting at is that you're adding to your point that unconsciously you're choosing to continue to do the wrong things, whether you intend to or not.
Right.
That's all I meant by it. Not obviously like making the problem external is just going to keep you victimized by the situation.
Because, you're attributing it to something that's not you. And the fact of the matter is that if he were to, let's say, go through my 8-week course and we find out exactly what it is that why he's attracted to the crazies and find out where this pattern started and what it means for him and how far reaching it is. By the way, this has effect in lots of areas of your life because what you're changing is you. So it's not just, you're the relationship world. It has really wide reaching effects. But if he goes through my course, by the end of 8 weeks, this shit is powerful and it is successful. It is, it works. Then by the end of those 8 weeks, he will make those choices. And I swear to God, he will be, even if he doesn't do anything differently with his life, although that's one of the things we look at in the course, even if he doesn't change anything, he will run into the right woman and she will be sitting right there in the DJ club.
Well, to put it a different way, I feel like what would, at least with myself, inevitably, so let's say I'm the DJ, even if I go move careers, I'm still going to have the crazy show up in a completely different scenario unless I become more aware of my programming.
And that's exactly how we continue to attract these patterns, and we have no idea how.
Right.
And everyone does this, people. Like, don't even feel badly about it. Every single person will do this, even if they're in very happy relationships. Patterns are what our brain does. They're part of our evolution. Your brain looks for patterns so that it can predict things and keep you safer.
Right.
That's very natural.
Yeah, that was the reason why we have such strong manifestations of our belief systems in our lives and the patterns that they create.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really powerful shit.
Well said.
That's why I like it. So we wanted to talk about space. So so a lot of people get into relationships and there are these beliefs in how it should go, right? And I think we've talked about this. I think we talked maybe last week or the week before about how And I keep talking about my program. If you're interested in finding out more, it's DomineyDrew.com is where you can read more about the actual course itself. So it's Domineydrew.com. And it's the same as the Twitter handle at Dominey Drew. And I'm on Instagram as well now, actually, at Dominey Drew. So I'm consistent all the way around. Go me.
Sweet.
Yes.
Branding.
So that's available for you, and you're also welcome to ask me questions, and you're welcome to tweet in live and ask anything that you want there at Dominey Drew on Twitter. So prioritizing yourself. So space and relationships. I said, I think last week or the week before we talked about the belief of how sex should always be good. Like if you're in love, the sex will automatically be good. That may have been something that I posted about, and not that we discussed here, but it is a very, very, very dangerous myth because you tend to think, oh, I love this girl so much. She's so great. Why isn't the sex better? There are so many reasons why the sex may not be good, and they are pretty much all fixable. So don't panic about stuff like that. Seek help. Call me. Give me all the details. Draw me some pictures.
I love that. You're fucking crazy. If you love her and the sex not good, you're crazy. No, that's not at all right.
No, but a lot of people think it is, man. It's like, oh yeah, we love each other, so it should be amazing all the time. It's like, well, especially with guys, man. Guys get anxious easily.
Yeah, we're very, very sensitive creatures.
Really sensitive creatures, and please don't take offense at that. That's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing, because if you're not sensitive, you can't feel anything. So that's important.
Well, and I noticed with myself, the more pressure you put in is typically the worst thing. It makes things worse.
It's such an important thing. Can you say that again?
The more pressure that you put on yourself. So I love this girl. Why isn't the sex good? Instantly, I'm, really stressing myself out, and I'm focusing not necessarily on the solution, but on the problem right there. Like I'm like, oh, the sex is not good. The sex is not good. That's really the consistent theme of that self-dialogue or negative self-talk like we talked about.
Yeah.
So it exacerbates the issue.
It really does. And the slightest thing, I know stories of guys who can't perform with their partners because they love them so much. Like literally they love them so much that they're so worried about disappointing them that they can't perform, and then that started causing problems in the relationship.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Is like you've got a recipe for an ED cocktail there, erectile dysfunction cocktail. When you start placing, expectations and stress that you're doing something wrong, that they're doing something, just really just focusing on the negative. And you will talk, I'm sure, more about solutions, but that's the easy route to go. Is like, oh God, this thing is not working.
Absolutely.
This bad thing, and that's all you. At least with myself, I've been very prone to do that in my relationships.
Yeah, in everything. I mean, again, that's part of how the brain works. Evolutionarily, there's we're geared toward looking out for the negative. We're geared toward. Okay, well, what's wrong? Because that's what we needed to do to survive. Remember, nothing has happened evolutionarily in 10,000 years, and that's as old as our culture in any real format is. So we're still the same creatures.
Well, we arguably in the past couple, maybe 100 years is really where we started to make more of a transition away from, literally having to fight to the death for survival. So that served us very well. Maybe in the past 50, it's not been a very real
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, this is so new, you guys.
Yeah, I mean we're. So what I'm getting at is very kind of ineloquently. 100 years ago, we basically needed animal instincts to survive.
Yes.
And that's not necessarily serves us in our modern life.
Right.
And that's. Speaking to your point, that's why we were constantly searching for that negative survival. Like, oh God, is this going to kill me? Oh God, is this going to kill me?
Yes.
Oh God, and that's not a very enlightened or self-led way to approach
It's very
things.
primal, but it's effective, and it's perfect for what it is. Because if you weren't looking out for danger, then you get stepped on by the mammoth, or eaten by the saber-toothed tiger, or, all those other things, which were very real threats for most of our, humankind's existence.
Yeah, I mean, even as simple as like the Industrial Revolution, like if you weren't really careful, the fucking machines chopped your head off. Like for real, like that was a thing,
Yeah,
so
looking for cars. I mean, it's like it takes all these different forms, but it's still there.
Yeah. I mean, the world has been a very, very dangerous place.
Yes.
It's again coming back to balance.
Arguably still is in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go there.
A different show.
Well, I mean, it's easy. Again, we could really find a lot of negative things to focus on, and that's not the point. I shouldn't say the point, but that's not. I think you're all really good at finding negative things. That's what we're trying to establish.
Yeah.
That's established.
You're already good at that. You're great at that. No, but it's true, and in a world where our for the most part our lives are not threatened on a daily basis. Thanks be to whatever's out there. And so now
Cthulhu.
what? Huh?
Cthulhu. Thanks be to Cthulhu.
The spaghetti monster.
The flying spaghetti.
Thanks.
Or whatever other deity.
Praise Xenu.
Praise Xenu. I have exorcised the body thetans. I'm sorry. That's one I feel like we can sort of get away with making fun of. Like,
Xenu?
Yeah.
Oh, I will make fun of that all fucking day long.
Yeah. I mean,
I do not care who it insults, because you need to look at yourself. You need to look at your damn self.
Well, we've had this, and this is, we're not going to pick apart anybody's, whatever belief system.
Unless it's that, in which case, consider yourself fair fucking game.
Well, that's one where, like, if you...
Do you want to talk about what Xenu is so people know?
Yeah, so Scientology, I think most people are it's starting to become in the public purview that Xenu is some... I don't even know, like...
Lizard god?
Yeah, like sort of Satan-esque, like,
I'm
figure.
repeating the shit.
Yeah, so this is Scientology's mythology, is that millions of years ago, Xenu, this evil alien. It's an alien. It's straight up alien. Yeah. And I think he is kind of a goddish type creature. Demigod. There's the word I'm looking at. Xenu is a demigod, and somehow there's these body thetans that you need to exercise, and they're effectively like small emotional demons that you have to have. You have to pay Scientology constantly to literally exercise. Okay. You hold a fucking you hold cans that are connected to a little electronic voltage meter, and however you feel, And so the thing that is, I will comment on, is that there is, because you are supposed to be bringing up traumatic and or, just poignant things in your life, there's a component of people do get relief from this clearing activity. I forget what the actual...
that's just basic awareness, bringing your awareness to it and then letting it go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is great.
It's that part of that very valid process of... The more that you speak about something, it starts to lose some of its charge. Yeah,
self-awareness and the process of, what am I trying to say? Self-discovery.
Well, yeah. Yeah, and just, if you never talk about something, there's very, very...
It doesn't move, y'all.
Yeah, it's very unlikely.
Okay, wait, I'm not letting this go, though. All right, one more. I threw this paragraph. Okay, so Xenu. So this is on fucking Wikipedia. Xenu was, according to Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard, who I believe said that he could make a religion. What was a line from him?
Everybody should start a religion. It's a great way to get rich. Is a very inaccurate paraphrasing, but that's the gist of what he said.
Yeah, and there was something kind of similar where it was just like he bet someone that he could create a religion, and then did so.
Oh, I'm sure. His literally, like,
he's
he had severe,
writer,
like,
right?
genuine mental health issues, and part of this, part of Dianetics, the famous book, that the E-meter, that's the stupid fucking thing you held the cans and is connected to a. So go on with Xenu though, before we go.
All right, so Zeno.
There's so much crazy to unpack here.
There's so much crazy, and I'm just like, it's like Christmas. The dictator of the Galactic Confederacy, who 75 million years ago brought billions of his people to Earth. By the way, no. Okay. There were not billions of people on the Earth 75 million years ago. There were 5 billion people on the Earth in 1950.
Where did the pyramids come from there, Nami?
Aliens. No, there were people, just not billions of people. And also they weren't erected 75 million years ago.
Sorry, I just been watching the History Channel. So, they have those shows.
All right, so Zeno brought billions of his people to Earth. I'm not pronouncing what Earth was called back in the day. In a DC-8-like spacecraft, wait, there's more, stacked them around volcanoes and killed them with hydrogen bombs.
Wait. Like, why did they stand there? Like, why did they...
Don't stop. Just don't even.
Stacking?
Okay. Official Scientology scriptures hold that the Thetans, immortal spirits of these aliens, adhere to humans, causing spiritual harm.
It's daemons, Dominey.
So that... Oh, Thetans. I'm so sorry. Thetans.
No, daemons. It's daemons.
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 Exercise. The devil.
Well, we have a hard time. Like, that's very relatable in America anyways. But that's literally like... So mythology typically is hundreds, if not thousands of years in the past. So it's a little bit easier for like that far removed accounts of like crazy shit to happen. Like, well, that sounds a little implausible.
75 million years ago.
But this shit is like, I mean, this is not John Smith even that, had the magic scene tablet and came up with Mormonism.
Oh, yeah.
Scene tablet, which was
a
fucking rock.
We could maybe. All right, but we won't.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Anyways, sorry. I didn't mean to offend Mormons. But what I was getting at is that that's even a couple of what's the word? Generations removed from us. So maybe he saw something and wrote something down that was very poignant. I'm going to give you guys that. But this is a unhinged, mentally unstable sci-fi writer
who has literally said that he would create a religion
based on a bet.
And at that point, you know what, y'all? You're on your own.
Yeah.
That more than the believability of it, because I don't give a shit about the believability of your faith. That is irrelevant, okay? And if it is effective for you, that is fucking fabulous. But if you believe that type of shit to be real with that much physical evidence to the contrary, then I think that you're beyond faith, and I think that there's a whole different. But
just
anyway,
an act of delusion.
Xenu. I'm gonna have praise Xenu boo my call line on here.
Yeah, all of a sudden, all kinds of Scientologists are gonna, you've just got like
they're gonna like storm at.
Wow, I was just gonna they are crazy. They will like you just have active surveillance. Like
that was him. I didn't call you crazy. That was Josh. His address is.
Are you gonna dox me? Really? That's a thing now.
He's like, man, fuck you. I was riffing on your shit.
Well, I mean, they know our names. Like, this is people that hire PIs to tail people. All right, let's go on with some relationship stuff.
So relationships. How about that shit? Sex and porn and
fucking
and other good things. Praise Xenu. Okay, I'm done. All right. So, losing yourself. All right, but this is, to be fair.
Losing yourself in Scientology.
Losing yourself in relationships can be just as bad as losing yourself in cult religions. So losing yourself in relationships. All right. Legit, though, you guys, this sucks. Okay? It is really awful. I have a lot of people that have a really hard time with this. They would rather stay single, but they're, like, defensively single. Like, I don't need a fucking relationship. And you're like, oh, okay. So there's something there. Because if you were just calmly like, you know what, I don't think I'm really interested in having a relationship, and there's no energy to it, that just means you're not interested in having a relationship. But as this being my field, I've done this for 15 years, I can recognize pretty quickly, little subtle forms of defense, and that's one of them. So you can keep an eye out for that. If you're like, man, fuck women, I don't want to be I want to be tied down, all this sorts of shit, but like you're kind of crying into your Cheerios at night.
Right.
Or you're eating Cheerios at night.
For like multiple bowls.
Like many bowls. And not like putting fruit in them.
Maybe you just fucking like Cheerios, Dominey. Why are you just judging people?
I'm super judgy. All right, fine. Eat your fucking Cheerios. But if you're crying into your Cheerios...
If you're eating your feelings
if you're
each bite
masturbating and using tears as lube, then you should maybe look at some...
That took a dark turn.
Welcome to Radical Intimacy, where you take a dark turn.
Oh.
That just sounds like anal.
Oh.
No.
Oh. Variety is the spice of life.
And other proper responses that you have when people mention anal. All right. So, focus up. Focus up, Dark Star. Okay. No? Too easy?
It's like all I think of when you say Dark Star is like the old school Star Trek portals that look like buttholes. Like the doors would would be iris.
We're like shoot.
You shoot butthole. Space butthole door.
That's the sound that mine makes.
Depending on your fear level, yes, I think that's a real thing. Oh my God, I think we just lost everybody.
Yeah, come back, guys. Come back. We'll it's fine. We'll put
sorry.
So first we alienated all the Scientologists. Do you like what I did there?
Ba-bump.
Come on, that was good.
It was pretty damn good.
Come on, can I get an amen? Can someone tweet to me on that? That was like pretty fucking good.
Praise Xenu.
I just ate that was a good joke. Praise Zeno.
Bless their hearts.
I can't believe I'm not getting more love on Twitter for that. That was super clever. Fuck all y'all. I know when I'm funny. I think I'm funny. That's all that counts, right?
Honestly, yes, it kind of is. There's a certain level of that I think we all need to get more. It's the childlike. Like kids, just like spin around.
You blame that kind of humor on children.
Well, honestly, though, like I'm actually trying to make a point that there's, and I'm not, that there's, when kids are like spinning around in a circle and they're just having the ball. And you're like, why the fuck are you doing that? Like, it's like, there's no.
Why would you think that when you looked at a child that was spinning around having a ball?
Well,
it's so jaded.
Yeah, and maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe that's my perspective. I'm saying more about myself here, but just kind of whatever it is, with some completely ridiculous behavior, but they're having a ball. You're like, oh my goodness, like that's. Doesn't matter what you think of them. Like, I'm having a fucking ball, dude. Like, whatever you're thinking's on you. Yeah. That's your problem.
No, the whole like dance like nobody's watching type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Praising you,
which I think is fucking great. So losing yourself in relationships, we call enmeshment. Okay, if you are enmeshed in someone, it means that you kind of start losing the boundaries between who you are and who the other person is. So where you end and the other person begins, right? So a lot of ways that you can, and we'll talk more about this because we're getting close to our time. This is actually a pretty good topic. But enmeshment. Enmeshment's really about sort of losing yourself in the other person. And there's a couple of ways that you may be able to tell this is happening. So there's a couple of misconceptions. Let me start with some misconceptions about enmeshment. People get into relationships and believe, fucking hell, that you have to do everything together. Okay? You do not need to do everything with your partner. Okay?
I would suggest you shouldn't do everything.
Yeah, if you're looking for sustainability, you need to have your space. Okay, you have to have room to be you. Otherwise, you're compromising. And there's compromise in relationship. It's not that, but you're compromising so much all the time that you're just not even. You're not even able to find yourself anymore. Okay. So that's one misconception, is the belief that you need to do everything together. And the next one is feeling like you need the other person to complete you.
Or you're not complete without them.
Or you're not complete without them, okay? It's a joking thing and it's not like a major pet peeve of mine, but people who call their significant others their better half or my other half, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
My boyfriend looks at me and says, my other half. I'm like, why aren't you a whole? Am I 1.5 now? Because I'm good on my own.
Right.
Which doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want to be in a relationship.
And we're not. Again,
but it doesn't mean that I don't have to be.
We're not picking on people that are using that, kind of thoughtlessly. We're talking about the idea behind.
Yeah, and also like be aware of your words.
Indeed.
You're saying shit like that puts energy out there. Maybe that's something that you truly believe, and maybe it's not. But I would challenge you that you believe it on some level, or you probably wouldn't say it.
Well, just get curious around it. Mm-hmm.
Check that out.
Does that work for you?
Yeah. So that's another misconception, feeling like you need the other person to complete you. Needing the other to be your everything all the time. Okay? Well, I'm sad and I need to be comforted, and so I need you here to do that right now. Well, maybe the other person's traveling or is in a really great mood and doesn't, can't play support, or is also struggling and can't be supportive for you right now. You need to be able to be who you are. If the other person compliments you, that's great. But if they complete you, that's the red flag. Okay? And then the last misconception, so that's the third misconception, needing the others to be your everything all the time. And the last one is having to like each other every minute of every day that you're together.
That's not a thing.
That's not a thing. And we're talking sustainability here, folks. Obviously, in those early months, or weeks or days. I mean, shit, I have fallen in love, and I mean in love, in 8 hours.
Right.
Without a doubt. He and I were both in. Boom. 8 hours later, we were like, it looked like we've been together for years. And that's great. Fall in love whenever you can is kind of my, why the fuck not, right? Why would I say no to that? So that's really great. But if you want to sustain, if you want to make it longer, then you need to, there needs to be some give and take.
Well, it's this. It is. I think it is really important to talk about that. Because
nobody cares what you think.
Okay. All right.
I'm just kidding. I love you.
Pout over here.
But seriously, nobody cares.
Probably not. I care what I think. So
isn't
that what we're talking about?
Folks.
Honestly,
He's almost done.
I care what I think, so it really doesn't matter what you.
Who gave this guy a microphone?
You did specifically.
Why does he have a platform?
So talking about God, you just made me lose my thought. Evil bitch. I really don't know where I was going with that. You're
welcome.
Go on. Get your way. I don't care.
I had no way. It was Xenu's way. No, we will come back. He'll think about that. He always finds something to talk about incessantly, all the time.
It's probably true. That's what my children think. So there's some truth to that.
Oh yes, and 5-year-olds have a really great grasp on reality.
Wow. There's 11-year-old now. That's a little scary.
She's probably right. So those are the misconceptions about enmeshment, and sorry, not misconception about enmeshment. Misconceptions about a relationship and how a relationship should be. We talked about shoulding, and shoulding all over other people, and shoulding all over yourself. That are actually enmeshment. Okay, so the belief that you need to do everything together. Okay, the belief that the feeling like you need the other person to complete you in some way. Needing the other to be your everything all the time, and having to like each other every single minute. None of these are healthy relationships. These are enmeshed. So, how do you know that you're enmeshed? Okay, if you're not prioritizing your needs. Okay, not to say that like life is all about you. For God's sake, stop taking selfies and look around in life. Okay, that is a pet peeve, which I'm actually thinking I'm gonna do a segment on. It's gonna be like Dominey's pet peeves every week, and selfie sticks are gonna be a really fucking big one. In fact, the whole segment might just be me talking and ranting about selfie sticks and how they represent everything that is wrong with our culture.
Right.
Yeah, but seriously, I'm not kidding. Like that's gonna be a long one. So buckle in for that, bitches.
Fasten your condoms.
Slip one on. Be safe. Make it 2. Because this is gonna be a doozy.
You're about to get raped. What? Huh?
What?
No.
Surprise. So not prioritizing your own needs. Okay, yes, it is not all about you. Most of the time. That being said, it's always about you, Josh. I'm talking to like.
Let's get to some solutions, though, if we can.
Oh, yeah, I do want to get to some solutions. All right. Okay, so how do you know you're enmeshed? So if you're not prioritizing your needs, if you're starting to be like, oh, yeah, honey, we can go roller skating again today. That's great. And what you really want to do is, go play paintball with your friends. All right, where's that line of compromising and prioritizing yourself? Because at some point, if you keep compromising, or like being like, I'm in love, I want to do everything with her. Okay, but where are you in this? Because if you don't show up in your relationship, then you don't have one.
Right.
And I can promise you that too.
It's just you cease to be you start to lose your attraction because you are not a fully whole person.
Right.
To use talk about your better half thing.
Right.
I mean, that's genuinely like you are an amorphous blob at some point if you're not careful.
Yeah, it's true though.
If you just keep going down.
You start blending into a relationship and then you get bored.
Yeah.
Because it's not two people with varied interests that are coming together. It's like this sort of amorphous blob.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense to everybody, but I can picture that perfectly in my head.
Well, emotionally blending together to where there's no definition.
Exactly. So another way to know that you're enmeshed, if you are at a loss of what to do when you're alone, you might be enmeshed if.
Yeah.
You might be a redneck if. You might be enmeshed if you spend 10 minutes alone and honest to God can't think of something that you would like to do with your life.
Right.
Okay. Come on, you're a person. I know you like your person, you're your other person, and that's great. But who are you? You need to be a person when you're alone, okay? You might be enmeshed if you are thinking exclusively of the other. Okay? If all of your thought, of course, lots of your thoughts, especially in the honeymoon phase, will be taken up. And hopefully a fair amount of your thoughts are taken up with your partner, in general. But if you are thinking exclusively of the other, then it's going to lead us into the next one, which is using your significant other to avoid your own life. Bam. Mic drop. Okay? So you think that you're being, this is common, that this happens. You think you're being, charitable and loving to the other, but really you're losing yourself in them so you don't have to deal with being you. Okay? You might be enmeshed if you're losing sight of who you are. What do you love to do? Do you remember? Are you only thinking about roller skating and, rock climbing with her because that's what she likes to do, and maybe you like to do other things? You might be enmeshed if you are beginning to prioritize your own goals and ambitions. I don't think deprioritize is the word, but I couldn't think of a better one. So you get the gist.
You don't put strategery to your goals.
You need to have
and visions.
strategery. Around nuclear.
That sounds ish.
Nuclear strategery.
Yeah, that's deprioritize. I mean, that could be a thing.
It's
close enough. Nobody would have noticed.
I know if I hadn't said anything. God damn it. That sucks. So yeah, if you're, let's say you were super ambitious, you wanted to, start a tech business and you wanted to create apps and you want to do all this shit, and then you met this chick and you love her a whole lot, and all of a sudden you haven't done that in quite some time. You haven't followed your passions. You haven't, fed yourself with that. That's a big sign. And the last one is you might be enmeshed if you're doing all the same things and not having any of your own passions individually. All right. So what to do? So you're right. Solution is the biggest part. So here's a couple of exercises that I'm recommending. We just have a few minutes here. So I'm just going to read this out to you. Check this out. Take some time to yourself. If you think that you might be losing yourself in a relationship, and it doesn't always need to be a romantic relationship. It could be with your friends or your family. But when you're blending with someone else, right? Take some time to yourself to figure out or remember what it is that you love. Okay? Here's an exercise to help you do that. When you're alone sometime, take 15 minutes, okay, by yourself, and write about things that you love, okay? It can be in list format, or you can write in depth or whatever, but look at general things that you enjoy, okay? While you're writing this, have some self-awareness, and as you're writing the list, look at which things light you up authentically without any effort whatsoever. Okay, that's important. Don't edit them or put things in that you feel you should enjoy or your mother would like you to do, or watch for tendencies of people pleasing or things that other people would want you to do. Focus just on yourself. If you're alone in a room, what is it that lights you up? Okay? And that will come effortlessly from within. Okay? There will be no, you won't have to make it happen. One thing will just excite you, and let yourself be surprised. It may not be what you think it is. All right? And then once you discover those things, let's say you really like being around animals. Okay? I don't know. Boundaries and communication are step 2. First, figure out what you want. Second of all, assert it. Okay? Once you figure out what it is that you need to feed your spirit, communicate that to your partner and make space in your life to do that. All right? Once you do that, you're going to need boundaries to put those in place, and you're going to need to prioritize that time. Okay? It may take some discipline, all right, to prioritize yourself. And as you learn, of course, it'll get easier with time. So communicate to your partner. It turns out I really like animals. I'm going to go volunteer at the Humane Society for 2 hours a week. This is my me time. It's really important that I do that. And if she's, he or she is supportive of that, that's great. And if not, you may need to say, listen, this is important to who I am. And if you love me, we're going to need to make that work. And then use some discipline and make it happen for yourself. Don't expect someone else to, well, it's just hard to make it happen. Man, whatever. This is who you are, okay? You need to feed that shit. It's important.
Well, she's going to find you more attractive if you do this.
Yes. And if you're
going to find yourself more attractive.
Exactly. And and as soon as you feel more attractive, boy, people start lining up. So if you're single, that's the way to really start rocking that. Any other last notes on that?
No. just gotta probably
Yeah.
wrap it up.
Good. All right, great. Been fantastic talking with you. I'm Dominey Drew. This is my co-host, Josh Maduri. You can find me at DomineyDrew.com or at Dominey Drew on Twitter or Instagram. And we will be around next week. Same time, same place.
Awesome being with you guys.
Take care.